Gary, it's been a relentless period of time for you since coming in the door. It's obviously been a very good start for you as well. How do you just reflect on the opening 3 weeks or so since you've come in the door?
Yeah, like you say, hectic. I think you couldn't come into a more condensed period and a busy period, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like what you want to do is impact the group immediately. Ideally, you want to spend lots of time on the grass, but actually, it's just trying to find the balance between sort of recovering, preparing for the next game, and keeping the spirit around the group as well. Because that's a huge thing, trying to lift the group. So I think we've managed to find the balance quite well. Of course, the results have been positive, and more importantly, I think the response from everyone around the building, the players and the staff, has been immensely positive, and of course the supporters as well. At the games, we've had some brilliant away followings in the last two, and two very good home attendances have got behind the team and got behind the way that we're trying to do things. So yeah, I think there's been a lot of good things so far. But I'm an experienced manager and I know how the game works, and for 4 games I'm certainly not getting overly carried away with it. It's kind of recognising what we've done well and how can we build and get better.
Yeah, I mean, your experience to date, you'll have come into other jobs in the past, mid-season as well. In this situation, how did you use that experience to put your own stamp on things when you didn't have much time on the training pitch?
Yeah, I think you just have to try and find the little sort of things that have the most impact. So, I think you come in and you hope your enthusiasm rubs off on other people. I think you have to be really clear on what you expect from people, so it makes it easy for them, not necessarily to tell them what to do, but to make it easy so that they can believe in the plan and they can believe in what you're asking them to do. And then, of course, you hope you get results to then back that up, because it's like anything. If you get a couple of positive results, sometimes that good feeling and that feeling of this works or this is good, kind of snowballs with everyone. And that, we know football's a big game of belief. If people believe in what they're doing and people believe they can get results, and you'd be amazed how many results you can get on the back of it. So yeah, I think that, myself and Mark doing that coming in is one thing. The players and the staff responding and doing a lot of the hard work and getting behind those ideas are the other thing, and that's the bit they've done really well. So yeah, deservedly so. I think the 4 games and down to the players' efforts, not really anything that we've done that's magically transformed everything.
I mean, results will show that something's worked with what you've been doing, but when you look back on performances within those results as well, how much have you started to see the imprint of what you're trying to get across, and how much is there still to come?
Yeah, I think immediately you see it, but you see it fluctuate within games, and I think that's what you expect. You want to see. I think the first game was all I wanted to see was some little bits of the things that we've worked on, and I think there were. I think, of course, we saw at the end of that game we perhaps didn't manage it as well as we could. So that was something to take into the second game. Can we be better, and then can we not have those moments? What can we feel a little bit more assured and confident? So, and I thought we did in the second game. We moved the ball really, really well. We got in some great areas and also felt more stable off the ball. When the pressure comes in games, I think that's really important. Then what was interesting, I think the 2 away games, you see different sides to the team. I think for the Millwall game, you saw a fairly balanced away performance. I thought defensively we were excellent. Thought we had to manage some of those moments where the opposition put you under pressure and have their attacking moments, which is always going to happen. But I thought we looked quite fluid on the ball at times also. Not as fluid as we'd like, but a little bit. So, and then you go to Preston and, it was almost a complete defensive performance, but without some of the attacking bits. So you take lots of bits out of it. I think there's a lot more to come. I think the group will improve. I think we'll hopefully, we'll improve the group further as we go along as well in terms of quality and individuals, and that's the exciting bit. But it's not all going to be just a linear line upwards. You're always going to have little bumps in the road and little inconsistencies, and that's why I'm here.
You try and put your own style and tactical plans onto the players, but one thing that Will Volk said to us after the Preston game is that as an individual and as a group, sometimes it's that fighting desire which is the most important thing to get a result. How impressed have you been with the players' application to learning what you've been trying to put onto them, but also within themselves to get results?
Yeah, hugely impressed. I think sometimes when you focus too much on a style, you lose sight of some of the other qualities that a team's all about. You know, like you say, that synergy, that balance, trying to get the best out of players rather than, you know, they have to fit into the system. I think sometimes I see it slightly differently, and every sort of head coach is different. I think the big thing for me is embracing being a team. You know, you're a team. If your mate falls over and slips over, then you want someone to get him out of trouble. And that's what a team is. And that's what we've tried to sort of champion a little bit after games. You know, it's that work rate of, I'm trying to help my mate out. You know, I know it's very simple sounding, but, and of course there's a lot more detail to it, but that's kind of the feeling I want from one of my teams. You know, that's how I would play the game. So I think a team is always a little bit of a reflection of the head coach and their values, and that's what you want. So really impressed with it so far. I think Volksy's been one of those, been a big part of it. I think the group have stepped up in terms of trying to drive it themselves as well, which is something that I think we'll hope to further improve on.
This week is the first week you've had without a midweek game. How are you trying to use that to your benefit? And I imagine it's just still as busy.
Well, the first thing I just did, I slid down in my chair and sort of went, thank God I haven't got a game in the next 4 days. So, yeah, but I think that's the thing, is it has been busy. It has been a busy period, of course. You know, I'm away from my family over Christmas like we all are in football. And it was nice for everyone, I think, to have a couple of days back home with their families and relax a little bit. I think that was important. And then we've managed to then, you know, you probably end up as I think it's difficult in my position sometimes because you want to focus solely on football and you end up having meetings about, you know, the training ground, and you have meetings about other things, and you have meetings about commercial, and and that's just the way of a football club, and that's the role. But we've also been able to get some good work done as well. Obviously the weather's been a bit of a challenge this week, but we managed to get some good work done, and I think that's really important for the group, which hopefully will set us up for the next few games, you know.
One place we've also got some work done, being in the January transfer windows, we've got our first player through the door early on in Ola Romany. First of all, what have been your thoughts on him since he's been in training this week, and is it someone we can expect to see in the squads this month?
Yeah, I think Ola's a player that, you know, we've been aware of from a scouting perspective. Obviously, he's got a good relationship with the owner also, so I think that's helped us to be able to bring him into the club. He's a flexible player. I think he can almost play across any of the sort of 4 forward positions. You know, wide left, rolling inside, wide right. Scored some goals in Holland at Utrecht in that position as a 9 and maybe sort of as a false 9/10. So I think he's quite flexible in those positions. They've been on their winter break, so again, it's making sure that he's up to speed. So he's sort of mainly been with sports science, dipped in and out of bits of training so far. Don't expect him to be involved straight away, but again, we'll sort of chat and monitor his progress. But I think what you got to do sometimes is be careful, you know, and make sure a player's ready. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him play, looking forward to seeing him train. But I think that progress might be a little bit slower than someone who's been training and playing games up until this point.
And it leads us now into our next couple of games we've got coming up, starting with the FA Cup third round away to Exeter on Saturday. We saw quite clearly in particularly your first 3 games, and then in the fourth, that you were sticking with the same starting 11 or the same players. Will this be an opportunity to get some other minutes into other boys and to see what they're capable of?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm a big believer in the importance of the FA Cup. I think, you know, if we're not careful, we lose that tradition. But at the same time, I think you have to find that balance within your own club and your own objectives. So it's a game we want to go and win. It's a game we want to be competitive in. We want to keep that momentum. But at the same time, there's quite a few players that are almost chomping at the bit for an opportunity. And I think this is the type of game where there will be players who get an opportunity, but it's up to them to go and put the same sort of performance in. You know, we know Exeter are doing really, really well in the league. I think they've had a really good season so far. They're well coached, they're well structured, they're really, really different in terms of their possession stuff. So we'll have to be defensively diligent, and we'll have to make sure we've got a good concentration level. But we'll prepare the team exactly how we will. We'll go down there exactly how we would normally, and we'll try and win the game.
Yeah. and then that relentless period just doesn't end, because a few days later we're going back down that coast again to go and play Plymouth in the rearranged game in the Tuesday night. I think on paper our supporters will probably see it as quite a big game when you're playing against a team that's below you in the table, but we're going against a side that's got an incredible home record this season as well for the position they're in, so it'll be another challenge for us.
Yeah, big challenge again to go down there. I think they, at one stage they had, I think it was the best home record in all of the divisions for about a 2.5 year period. I think that's sort of dropped away a tiny bit, but you'd expect them to have a bounce just by a change of personnel in terms of who'll be leading the team. You know, and they're a good side. They're a good side at home. You know, they haven't found that balance away from home, but you could also argue that about us early season. So, you know, you have to earn everything in every game in this division. You know, there's no game that you'd ever turn up and say, we should win this game. You can never think like that. You know, and it'll be another big test, like you say. That's probably why we might have to make some changes, just to make sure that Tuesday, because we've got a few injuries, so make sure Tuesday we've got a fully fit squad, a fully fit group. So that might change my thinking a little bit around Saturday's FA Cup game. But nevertheless, you know, we want to try and be competitive in both games, and that's what we'll do.
Perfect, Gary. Thank you very much.
Fabulous.